The kids are just built different these days. Hello you guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, hi, my name is Katie. I'm an NASM certified personal trainer, performance enhancement specialist, and corrective exercise specialist. I'm also a body neutral personal trainer, which really just means my clients and I don't really focus on weight loss, weight gain, or aesthetics. We focus on other sustainable habit and behavior changes that may impact the way that we look, may not impact the way that we look, but what they definitely do is positively impact our overall health. And last but certainly not least, I'm probably the reason you're here if you clicked on this video. I am also an elite level powerlifter, and today we're gonna go over my entire meet day recap. I know that this video has been a long time coming. I'm sorry for the delay. Life has been crazy, but today is finally the day. It's finally here. So today we're basically gonna go through how everything felt, attempt by attempt, what was going on in my head, how I was feeling in my body, just talk about meet day a little bit, and hang out and yap. So this was my 12th powerlifting meet. That's crazy to think about. And my 10th meet, so 2 meets ago, I had the worst meet I've ever had in my powerlifting career. I ended up bombing out at a relatively big meet on live stream, the whole thing. I had talked up North Americans so hard. I plugged the shit out of that live stream, and then I bombed out on squats. And then I competed like almost exactly a year, just I think a little bit shy of a year, a little bit like a month, give or take here and there, I don't know, after North Americans for kind of like my redemption meet. Really wanted to like come back strong, especially on squats after having just bombed out on squats. So that was my 11th meet. That was in September of 2024. And I did fine. I didn't bomb out. I didn't get called for depth. On paper, it was a fine meet, but there were some things that I feel like I left on the platform. Like I had more potential and had proven as such in training leading up to that meet, and I feel like I was just a little bit shy of my goals. So I decided to do a quick turnaround and compete again in March, end of March, which is the meet that we're going to be going over today. On paper, another great meet. Honestly, this is probably one of the meets that I am the most proud of. I went 3 for 3 on squats, 1 for 3 on bench, we'll talk about that, and 3 for 3 on deadlifts. I broke the New York State squat record for my weight class and age class on my 2nd attempt, and then I broke it again on my 3rd attempt with more left in the tank, and I hit a huge deadlift PR. Most importantly, this was my first time going 3 for 3 on squats since 2022. And even before that, I think 2022 was my first time going 3 for 3 on squats, period. So this is only like my 2nd time going 3 for 3 on squats, maybe. After the turmoil, the inner turmoil that I have had with squats, going 3 for 3, it did not matter what happened for the rest of the day. I went 3 for 3 on squats, took 2 New York State records, really like 1, I get it. Like I broke my own record, I get it. Like it literally didn't matter what happened for the rest of the day, which is why I really wasn't concerned with only going 1 for 3 on bench. So overall, I am very happy with my performance this meet. And I feel like this was a good meet to kind of end things on for a little bit. Joe and I are in the process of building a house. We are in the process of planning a wedding. We are in the process of moving. So we have a lot going on in our lives, which is kind of what I'm just alluding to when I say life has been crazy. So I'm going to take a break from competing for a little bit. That does not mean that I'm taking a break from powerlifting or training or creating content or coaching or anything like that. I'm still going to be doing all of that. Just taking probably a little break from actually being on the platform for just a hot second. So I wanted to end that on like a meet that I felt really proud of, a meet that I felt like I went out with a bang on, and I feel like I got that with this meet. So without further ado, let's dive into it. So statistics for the day, I went 7 for 9. I ended with a 975 total, creeping up on that 1,000 pound total, and I got a 433 DOTS score. I talked a little bit about what DOTS is in my last video, my week in the life video. If you haven't seen that, definitely go check that one out. That was so much fun to film. Basically, your DOTS score is a formula, a way that it kind of puts everybody on the same playing field, regardless of sex, age, weight class, things like that. It used to be called your Wilks score, but then, I don't know, like 3, 4, 5 years ago, they changed it to be your DOTS score. Okay, let's dive into it. So this meet was at a venue that I've already competed at before, so it was nice to be in like a familiar venue. And the best thing is always competing locally. You get to know all the other competitors, and I feel like you become like really good friends with all the other competitors. So it was a lot of familiar faces on this day. A lot of girls that followed me on Instagram or TikTok or YouTube. And one of the girls was like, I've watched your entire meet prep throughout this prep. And I was like, what? That literally blows my mind. So I got to meet so many great people. I got to compete with some familiar faces, which I always love. I got to help out a lot of first-time lifters, which is something that I always make it my personal mission to do on meet day, because that's what people did for me on my first meet. If I didn't have the people caring for and looking out for me that I did on my first meet, I wouldn't be doing what I get to do today. So I always feel like I make it my personal mission to just look out for first-time lifters, give them some words of encouragement, make sure they're doing okay, making sure they're staying afloat, things like that. Anyway, so we got to the venue, started saying hi to people, just putting our stuff down, blah, blah, blah. We had rules, which is basically just where they go over everything. So if you're a first-time lifter, they will go over everything that you need to know before you even set foot on the platform. They basically just go over all the commands, all the things that you need to do to have a successful lift, all the things you need to avoid in order to get like an unsuccessful lift. You get to ask questions, things like that. So they will always go over everything before you even step foot on the platform. So we had rules, and then I started warming up and drinking my pre-workout, having a little bit of snacks. The warm-up area I feel like was a little bit hectic. It only had 2 squat racks, or like 2 squat racks, 2 benches, 2 deadlift platforms, like 2 stations for all of us the entire day. So it was a little bit hectic in the warm-up area, but I feel like all the girls, we all take care of each other in the warm-up room. There were these 2 other girls in the warm-up area, Gianna and Maya, I believe her name was, and they looked out for me. They had my back. Joe was also my handler, but we had another friend competing, and I was like, no, you can take care of him. Like, I'm good. I'm just vibing. I think the thing that I really needed to have a really successful meet was no pressure. Literally like just taking it as another like heavy training day, just having fun, not really worrying about, you know, records and not bombing out, and just having fun. I think that was like the biggest factor in my success this meet, I feel like. So these 2 girls, they were looking out for me in the warm-up room. We had each other's backs. Squat warm-ups, I remember feeling particularly heavy, and I was like, oh no. I was getting a little bit nervous when my squat warm-ups felt heavy. I remember saying to Joe, I was like, my warm-ups feel like shit. And he was like, nope, don't get in your head about it. Remember at the last meet that Joe and I competed at together, he was like, my warm-ups felt like shit at our last meet, and I ended up hitting a bunch of PRs. So I was like, okay, thank you, King. I needed that. Anyway, going into my squat opener, I opened with 347 pounds, which is 157.5 kilos. And I absolutely smoked it, honestly. I was really happy with this. I was nervous, but I mean, that moved like a last warm-up. I am always such a head case, such a bag of nerves until I make my first squat. And then I'm like, all right, let's party. And then the rest of the day can just be fun, because like the hardest lift, I'm on the board. So for my second, I decided to chip the state record. This is something that USPA just started allowing you to do, I believe. I don't know, they had some rule change. I don't actually know what the exact rule is. But you are allowed to chip records on your second attempt. So the record was 167.5. And by chipping it, that means I can go 168 kilos, which is 370 pounds. And I smoked this one too. When they said state record attempt, I was like, oh my God. In USPA, you have to declare all of your records before you take them. As soon as I heard Joe go, yes, I was like, I have a New York State squat record. Oh my God. Anyway, in USPA, you have to declare all your records before you hit them. So like if I went up there and I hit 168 kilos, but I didn't tell the judges table, this is gonna be a state record attempt, I wouldn't have gotten the record. So you always wanna keep an eye on what the records are in your weight class, in your age group, all the different categories, so that you know if you're coming up on one. And then even though I hit a record on my second, I still have to declare it again on my third. So I went back to the judges table. I said, hey, it's gonna be a state record attempt. We're gonna take 175 kilos, which is 385 pounds. And this moved, so I thought this was gonna be a grind. This moved so well. I was floored. This is probably my proudest moment of the day, to be honest with you. Oh my God. 3 for 3 on squats, state record on my second, state record on my third. What more can you want, honestly? And I feel confident that like I can probably break my own record again. That would be, oh my God, that would be everything. Anyway, after squats, I was so happy. I was just on cloud 9. Literally, I was like, nothing can bring me down. Except for bench. I'm just kidding. Literally, I was probably the most nervous bringing my bench to the platform this meet. I'm really never nervous about bench. Bench always just feels like that one that like you have to get through in order to get to deadlifts. But I was nervous about bringing my bench to the platform because this was the first prep and the first meet that I started utilizing sinking in my bench. And even though it's completely legal when done correctly, I was still nervous because it's a change, it's something different. I've never done this on the platform before. So I was definitely a little bit nervous, and I was not prepared for how long these press commands were gonna be. All of us, all the girls in the wing, we were like, what is going on? What does this head judge want from us? A backflip? Literally longest press commands of my life. But that's the sport. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not there. And I'm really not unhappy with it at all. Like I know that I have more in the tank, but it's just gonna take a little bit more honing and a little bit more practice and perfecting it until my bench PR is ready for me. So I opened with 80 kilos, which is 176 pounds, and it moved really well. I remember it feeling like a little heavy, and I probably shouldn't have made the big jump that I did for my second, but I did, and you live and you learn. It was fine. It was uneventful, as an opener should be. And then for my second, we took my normal planned jump, which was 85 kilos, 187 pounds. I have hit 195 a bunch of times throughout this prep, so I thought this was in the bag, but like I said, some days it's there, some days it's not there, and it is what it is. Is this the right video? No, hold on. The longest press command of my life. Crazy. I was literally like, hello? So then I took it again for my third, failed it again on my third, whatever. Honestly, I think the end of this video perfectly encapsulates my feeling. I was just like, you know what? Okay, it just wasn't there, and that's fine. After bench, it was time to fuel up. Lots of snacks, lots of food, lots of PB&Js, lots of cookies, lots of sweets, and just yapping with the girlies. And then it was time to deadlift. I opened my deadlift with, let me tell you, 170 kilos, which is 374 pounds. This moved really well in the gym when I took it for my opener day, so I really was not nervous about this at all. Like clockwork. Honestly, it's exactly how an opener should be. Openers should not really give you any anxiety other than like the normal meet day anxiety. And then for my second, we went with 182.5 kilos, which is 402 pounds, which was a platform PR match. Deadlift and I have been in a weird relationship for the past couple of years. My deadlift regressed for a good like year and a half, 2 years while my squat was blowing up. And I find that that's really common for a lot of lifters, especially a lot of like higher level lifters. Your squat and your deadlift blowing up at the same time is very rare. Once you get out of that like beginner and intermediate gain realm and start getting more into like advanced powerlifting. Anyway, so let's see. In 2020, I hit a in 2020, I failed a 374 deadlift, and then I opened with it at this meet. In 2022, I hit a 385 deadlift, and then in 2023, I hit a 402 deadlift. And then at that North Americans meet where I bombed out on squats, that was 2023, I took 391 for my second attempt, and it moved like an RPE 9,000. So I scratched my third, didn't even bother. So I hit a 391 deadlift. And then in 2024, I hit 391 again and failed 407. And then at this last meet, I hit a 413 deadlift. So deadlift and I have been a little all over the map, but I finally feel like I have some training momentum with deadlifts, and I'm feeling really good about them. So opened with 374, and then on my second, we went with the PR match of 402. I think my face says it all. As soon as I locked that out, I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna pull 413 today. So then for my third, we went to 413, which is 187.5 kilos, and I crushed it. I think I also left a little bit on the platform here, which is mind-blowing to me. I am so proud of that. I am so proud of that. Oh my God. I ended up ripping my thumb on my third attempt. Perfect timing. Good thing I didn't rip it on my second. I literally didn't even notice until I looked at my hand and I was like, oh, you guys might want to wipe down the bar. Always let them know if you bleed so that they can sanitize and wipe down the bar for the next lifters. I ended up winning first in my weight class and best female overall lifter. And I ended up getting drug tested as per usual. I think I've gotten drug tested at my last 3 meets. Always so much fun peeing right in front of somebody else. Overall, like I said, am so proud of myself and so happy with how this meet went. I struggle a lot with imposter syndrome. I see so many lifters who are just getting into this sport, hitting numbers and doing things that I have yet to do in this sport. The kids are just built different these days. And I was actually talking to one of the girls at the meet about this. There will always be people who are better than you, and there will always be people who look up to you. And even that person that you look up to, they look up to somebody else, right? I have a lot of mutuals on Instagram that have hit 1,000-pound total at their second meet, or who squatted 375 at their first meet in the same weight class as me. And it's just it's so much easier to compare yourself to those people than it is to remember how far you've actually come. When I started this, I was a pudgy little 235-pound girly who couldn't squat the bar to depth. And now I have a New York State squat record. And other people's success does not inhibit my success at all. It doesn't overshadow my success at all. There is room for all of us at the top. There is room for all of us to succeed. But that is definitely something that I struggle with a lot, is imposter syndrome in work, in powerlifting, in life. But this meet really finally made me feel really accomplished, and it's something that I am so proud of. So thank you guys for hanging out with me. I hope that this meet recap was enjoyable and fun. And if it was, and if you want to see more powerlifting content and fitness content and educational content and stuff like that, make sure to like and subscribe for more. I will see you guys next time. Bye.